and their neural system, their neurological system is compromised.
So what do you do in a situation like that?
What can I do? If it's a person that I know, I try to tell them, you have to stop.
And
you gotta stop.
what's the answer usually?
Most of the time they don't want to stop. They reject it. They're mad at me. I had a one very public thing that I did with a very good friend of mine who had been knocked out a bunch of times in the UFC. And I had to tell him on a podcast after he got knocked out, I'm like, you have to stop. You have to stop.
Oof.
I'm like, this is going to keep happening, and it's going to get way worse. Like, because once you've been knocked out a bunch of times, there's also a thing that happens where it's more easy to knock you out. You can't take a shot anymore.
That's right. Yeah, which was the case with this kid, Ty. He kept on being knocked out.
Ugh.
And so did he stop?
He did. Yeah, my friend did. But he was very mad at me for a while.
Yeah,
so was a lot of his friends. Now he's so happy, and he thanks me.
What does he do now?
He does podcasting.
That's great.
Yeah, but it was a real problem where we were all aware of it, but no one wanted to say anything. But I've just been involved in this world my whole life, and I've seen it my whole life. I've seen people that never had a career in fighting, and they just got brain damage from sparring. And I knew that I was on that road myself. Like, I remember one day when I was 21, laying in bed after sparring, and my head was throbbing. And I was just lying on the pillow, and my head was just bing, bing, bing. With every beat of my heart, my head was throbbing. And I was like, what am I doing to my brain? Like, what am I doing? And how much damage have I already done?
Wow.
Because a lot of brain damage doesn't even show up until years after the injury.
Right.
And, there's just, everything's fucked. Everything's fucked.
So is it something you're still worried about?
No, not anymore. I'm sure I have some lingering effects of it.
I mean, clearly.
Yeah. No doubt. I think there's a certain amount of brain damage that everyone who competes in combat sports has to accept. But it's not even, and you don't know. And some people are fine. They've had full, long careers, and there's nothing wrong with them. They're fine. And then other people, they're just one or two knockouts, and they're never the same person again. And, there was a guy named Meldrick Taylor who was a Olympic gold medalist, elite boxer, and he had one fight with Julio Cesar Chavez, and it was an absolutely brutal fight where he was knocked out with 2 seconds to go in the last round by Julio Cesar Chavez, who's one of the greatest of all time. But it was a fight that Meldrick Taylor was winning, and he got knocked out with 2 seconds to go. It was a famous thing because referee Richard Steele, he waved the fight off, and everybody was so mad at him that he stopped the fight with 2 seconds to go, but Meldrick was never the same again.
Wow.
Never the same again. He kept getting knocked out after that, and now there's been interviews with him where you hear him talk now. Like, he was planning a comeback years back, and they interviewed him, and it's the most depressing thing. See if you can find Meldrick Taylor being interviewed, because in the beginning of his career, you would hear him talk, and he was talking about his training and his this and his that, and it was just normal guy, nothing wrong. And then you see him, and he's in his 30s. He's young. He's fit, and he literally can't form sentences. He can't get words out. It sounds like he just drank, like 5 bottles of vodka. And, and you picked him up off the couch and had him have to have a conversation. That's punch drunk. I mean, that's why people call it punch drunk. Because it really does sound like they're drunk. Here, let's hear this.
I was very impressed with what I saw, and Chavez was everything through was very solid. He looked very advanced at taking his punches, and everything was accurate, and everything was consistent. I was very impressed with the last couple of rounds. He started to pick the pace up and get very strong at each
This
round.
is not too bad. This is after one of the fights. Like, do Meldrick Taylor interview brain damage? Google that, because people are super aware of him because he was an Olympic gold medalist, and he was like, that's the same video. See if you could find, just go to videos, and scroll down. Maybe that one. Maybe that tale of Julio Cesar Chavez versus Meldrick Taylor. Yeah, is it? Well, I don't think they're going to have it in this one because this is HBO. I don't think they're going to show that he.
Right.
but it's just Google Meldrick Taylor slurring his words. Try that. But it was really bad.
What happened to him, by the way?
He retired. But another one is Terry Norris. I know there's ones with Terry Norris. Terry Norris is another. He actually knocked out Meldrick Taylor. He was one of the guys that knocked out Meldrick Taylor after the knockout loss to Julio Cesar Chavez. And Meldrick Taylor, there was actually a thing because his wife, he's teaching boxing now, and his wife helps him, and he's like really compromised. And Terry Norris in his here, this is it.
This.
Oh, it's funny a lot to me because the media wrote bad things about me. When my name said I was washed up.
Today at 36.
That's that's what I'm talking about.
Sad.
And you see now he's fighting. You know, play a little bit more of that.
My title, but
Meldrick is the classic.
Yeah.
So that's Dr. Margaret Goodman, and I think she's talking about he's a classic.
And I think I'm going to really excel in this fight.
Yeah.
I'm going to propel me as the best fighter pound for pound in the world. It's going to make me a superstar.
people say a lot of things about me, about my career. I shouldn't be fighting no more. And it's untrue. So I'm here to prove myself that I'm still the same fighter.
Wow.
See, that's 10 years.
And he's still saying he wants to go fight. even
This is
after
10
slurring
years
his
later.
words.
So this was, you go back 10 years, he's fine. 10 years later, he's doomed. And it's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
Get to the point where you literally can't understand a word they're saying.
Yeah. It's so wrapped up in their identity, too,
Yes.
right?
It's
What's
everything.
Yeah.
It's also the most exciting moments of their life.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it. The victory, and Meldrick was a champion. I mean, he was an elite fighter. So he had trained so hard and dedicated so much to be at that level that Meldrick Taylor was, or that Terry Norris was. You have to dedicate everything you have to be that good, because you're beating the best guys in the world, and that it's so much of your identity and so much of and you haven't done anything else.
Right.
This is all you've ever done.
Yeah, you've devoted your whole life to being this person, and then you're not able to be that person anymore. Yeah.
So I don't know if
I get it.
bare knuckle boxing is going to protect people from that. I don't think it is, but it's maybe slightly. Maybe you can't do as many fights because your face gets so lacerated.
Yeah, I
Maybe
think
you don't
one
get
of
hit
the
as hard.
Yeah, I think one of the questions that we were interested in is if there's an incentive for these illegal fights. But I think